So you're originally from the D.C. area, and now
I was
you're
born in New York, raised
right.
in D.C.,
Okay.
and now I'm in L.A.
Okay. What part of New York?
I was born in the city, in Manhattan.
Okay. Yeah, I'm from the East Coast actually. I moved out here about 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
Born and raised in Patterson.
New Jersey.
And
Okay.
from Jersey, yeah, in Detroit. Yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that on some
Detroit
of your
area.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. So, one of the things that we like to ask people about is not only kind of um, about your particular songs, but kind of the inspiration for your songs. One of the songs that really intrigued us about what you're doing is Spies.
Oh, wow.
And I talked to some folks on my team. They're like, "That's the one right there. That's that one right there." So you got to ask her about Spies. What was the
wow.
inspiration of Spies? What drove you?
I think literally I was going through a period where I was hearing lots of rumors about me,
Right.
and then it was like sort of just taking a humorous take on what could be an ugly situation.
Okay.
And just sort of taking a humorous look at it. Sometimes I don't want to take my life so seriously,
Right.
that I
Right.
can't make jokes about
Okay.
things that, anybody else, would have written a song like, all neck rolls, don't
Right.
be doing this, don't be talking about me. But I thought it might be better to just kind of laugh at it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Excellent. Now, who helped you with the video?
My husband, he
Okay.
directed the video.
Okay. Okay.
We got the guys from Noah's Ark, the logo show, to be in the video because the song was featured in a movie, in the Noah's Ark movie, Jumping the Broom. So we were really lucky to have the cast of the show and the movie be in the video. That was awesome.
Excellent. Excellent.
And it was crazy because that night, shooting the video, I got very ill.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it, but I had appendicitis. I had to have surgery the next day.
Oh my goodness.
But I didn't want to tell my husband that I was sick.
Right.
And throwing up like every 45 minutes. And finally he saw what was going on.
Yeah.
But I refused to stop shooting the video.
Right.
And and afterwards, I went to the emergency room and they were like, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
You should have been in here
You should
earlier.
have been in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I didn't realize that you were on the production side as well.
Yeah. A little
Nice.
bit.
Nice. Do you play any particular instrument?
I play keyboard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit on Spies, but I would be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit about your range. I had the blessing of being here when you came into town with Florida Exchange, so I got to witness your range in person. So tell me a little bit about how you developed that. I mean, and is it just an automatic gift from God? Is it something you work at?
I think it's definitely something that I've cultivated over the years. You know how babies, start out making all kinds of sounds, and then as you get older, you start phasing out the ones that you don't use, like in your language and just in everyday life. And so I think a lot of us start out, with the capability to sing all kinds of notes, but as we get older and determine what's actually functional, a lot of things get X'd out,
Okay.
I never got older in that sense.
Okay.
I think I've always been a noisemaker, and so that I never really saw it as singing. Like, I never really saw myself as a singer. I was just a noisemaker. I just like to make noises, and so I think I never limited myself as far as where I could go vocally, just because I didn't really see it so much as singing.
Okay.
It's just making noises.
Sure. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, in terms of inspiration with you, so one of the things that when I was talking to my team about it, I think we all agreed that Greater Than the Sun was the one that we wanted to ask you about, really kind of what the inspiration, I mean, obviously it has some meaning to it. I think you could think of it in a couple of, at least 2 different or 3 different ways, but would love to hear about kind of your inspiration for that.
It's funny because me and Fonte. Actually, I sent Fonte another song that was supposed to be the intro to what ended up being Sunstorm.
Okay.
And that song actually ended up being the closer for the Little Brother album, The Get Back.
Okay.
In which that song ended up being When Everything Is New.
Okay.
So that particular song was supposed to be the intro for my new album.
Got it.
But at the time when he and Pooh were working together, they requested it for their album. I'm like, yeah, of course. You know, it's gonna get more looks on your album.
Right.
So what ended up happening was I was just messing around on the keys one day.
Uh-huh.
Ended up playing, you know, the chords and the intro to what ended up being Greater Than the Sun.
Nice.
Put it together, sent it to Fonte, and I was like, this is the new intro. Like this is the intro right here.
Okay.
And I think he ended up, if I remember right, I think he ended up turning it around maybe about a day and a half.
Wow.
Or so.
Okay.
Which is I mean, that's how me and him work. Like I
Sure.
you know, put something together. Same with Flight of the Blackbird. I put something together, sent it to him. The next day he's texting me. I was about to say paging me. He's texting me, texting me or calling me like, yo, check your email, man.
Right.
And I checked the email and it's pretty much finished.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Classic foreign exchange fashion, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things I definitely want to talk to you guys about is your collaboration and how you guys came together to form this tour, and what's the inspiration of it?
Shoot, we met through a mutual friend in Chicago named Dwayne Powell. And what he usually likes to do is he used to you know, be a staple in a record shop there called Dr. Wax, which is now closed. But what he would do is when people would come through the store, he would just get people on the phone. So like, Sai came through the store one time, and he calls me. I'm already a fan of Sai. Like I know Sai is, I know his work, all that stuff. This is like 05, I think.
Something like that.
And he's like, yo, got Sai Smith here, would you holler at her real quick.
Right.
So we just on the phone, you know
and
what I mean?
last time I was at the store, he had given me Zoe's album. So he knew how much I liked, you know, Zoe's project and what he was doing. So so when I came in there, he was like, I'm gonna get Zoe on the phone right now. And I was like, oh God.
Nice.
And that was our initial meeting. And then not too much longer, I don't know, after that, maybe I came to DC and he introduced us in person
at the show.
Right.
At the show. And then maybe a few months after that we did Crazy You.
Right.
Okay.
And not too long after that we did Greatest Weapon of All Time.
Okay.
For Sunstorm.
Okay.
So like the working relationship was natural. Like it just worked. You know, I remember sending Sai like the full music for Greatest Weapon, and she sent me back the full vocal arrangement. So I mean, the song was done. Just send it here, send it back.
Sure.
Done.
And you had it. You had it.
I think when how did we get together on stage?
Well, when I started touring with Foreign Exchange, you know, we got to know each other a lot better.
Okay, because of the connection.
Right. You know, 'cause when we were both on the road together, and I think it was during that time that we kind of were like, you know, we should do some dates, you know.
Sure.
The two of us.
And the first dates we did were overseas.
Right.
All right. All right. All right.
And I think we just started to see our natural sort of chemistry. You know. And musically, we come from the same school. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Same school of thought. We both have a lot of the same influences. We grew up a lot on the same, you know, the same stuff. Even the obscure stuff we know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was going to ask you a little bit about that. You kind of your musical inspiration. Who you listened to back in the day that kind of really formed some of your original inspirations in music, and would love to hear a little bit about that.
Well, the thing I think the great thing about the era that we grew up in was that we were exposed to everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, your record collection at home.
Right.
With the emergence of MTV and VH1.
Sure. Sure.
We were able to hear soft rock. We were able to hear
Right.
pop rock. We were able to hear heavy metal. Like, we were able to hear all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we could flip on Michael Jackson, but then we can flip on Depeche Mode, and then we can flip on Tears for Fears.
Right.
Okay.
And flip right back to Run DMC.
Right.
That's,
Right.
all in the same time.
Sounds like the 80s to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I think, just hearing all of those, and it definitely broadens your musical palette, for sure.
No, absolutely.
You gain a greater appreciation for what everybody does, not just what Stevie does, but
Right.
you look at like Toto and you're like, oh man, they were some musicians
Right.
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
It would be nothing to hear, I mean, In Excess on the radio, and then 5 minutes later hear UTFO or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, that was the beauty of that, growing up in a time like that. I know specifically I listened to a lot of bands that had horn players. I was really into horn sections.
Okay.
I thought I wanted to be a horn arranger. I didn't know how to articulate that at 5 years old, but I was like, Mom, I want to, do that.
Right.
And so I was really into like Earth, Wind, and Fire and
Sure.
old Cameo.
Okay.
Bar-Kays, stuff like that. Commodores. I had a great horn section. Anything like that, because again, I was really into making noises that sounded like that.
All right. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the new artists coming out today that you have an affinity for, and why.
Shoot, I always joke with people. I have the luxury of having a lot of my favorite artists in my phone.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of the cats that you would hear on like Sunstorm and things like that are my favorite artists.
Got it.
These same folks that we talked before, who aren't getting I guess the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
These are my these are my favorite people. Like, not only people, but favorite artists, and I mean just a boatload of talent.
Sure. No, that's great. That's great.
Same here. I'm listening to a lot of new jazz players lately. There's a cat, Ben Williams, I've been listening to, bass player. And, of course, Robert Glasper's album.
I was going to ask, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who's also a friend of ours.
Okay.
Again, like people in our phones.
Right.
Exactly.
Layla and Lettucey and all of them, they're all good friends.
Sure. Sure.
It's kind of cool. That part of our lives is kind of cool.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Cool. Now, one of the things that I find interesting, and that we try to talk to new artists about, and people who come to our site, and people who listen to some of our shows, how do you make music these days? What are the ways, and kind of the innovative ways? Because you guys already talked about the fact that you don't have to be in the same city all the time.
Right.
What are some of the specific tools that you guys are using to actually get your stuff down and collaborate?
I know with me, the way that I make music, I usually try to keep an element of, I won't say old school, but I guess old school properties. Meaning, I'm not really into looping a lot of stuff.
That's funny. Me too.
Yeah. Because what happens is you lose the human feeling in your music. I'll loop drums because you don't want to tap out and play out drums through the whole thing.
Not to keep it consistent.
Not unless it's live drums. Live drums, I will play it all the way through.
Okay.
If it's a 6-minute song, I will play, whatever all the way through.
Yep.
But what it does is it adds variety to your music. Even if you listen to, let's say, for example, an old Earth, Wind, and Fire song, let's say Can't High Love. You listen to the tempo at the beginning of Can't High Love, it's different from the tempo at the end.
Right.
The tempo at the end is a little bit higher.
Right.
Because they're playing all the way through.
Right.
They're into it, like they're grooving by that time.
Right, they got the intensity
and the
up.
tempo has naturally come up, and you can hear that. So like same thing, you know, as I'm creating, you know, I want to be able to play. If I got a 6-minute song, I'm going to be playing each track all the way through. If I got a piano track, I'm playing that all the way through. If I got a Rose track layered over top, I'm playing that all the way through.
Okay.
Got a live bass track, I'm playing that all the way through too.
Sure.
Because even though it may sound looped, it's not looped because there's, you know, 1 or 2 intricacies in there that's, you know, not the same.
Right. Right.
And then you be like, you know, you can see somebody even tweeted like, yo, whatever he did at minute mark 2:32, that was crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's just a little bit different than the last bar. You know what I mean? So
I hear you.
It adds your personality and it adds that human element to your music.
Nice. It's like you know, when you buy like a leather coat or something, it's like variations in this leather are because of the blah blah. It's like that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want some of those variations in this garment that you're creating. You know what I mean? That's funny. I don't like sequencing either. But I'm just lazy. That's why I don't. It's just easier for me to play shit down.
Yeah. Really. Like, I couldn't. I'm good. I'm good. I play it live all the way through.
I record at a studio in North Hollywood. Like basically, if a producer like Zoe sends me a track, I record at a place in North Hollywood with my engineer Grant Nicholas, who uses Uendo for everything we record. Like most people use Pro Tools and Logic, but Grant is a weirdo and a gadget geek.
Okay.
And so yeah, we use Uendo.
Sure.
And I sing on Lewitt audio microphones. That's where I started recording on like 3 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
Nice.
I traveled with one too.
Okay.
And yeah, and like he said, like, well, I'll get the track, record all the vocals, send it back. I'm the type of recording artist. I like to record it and be done. So I like to mix it the same day. I don't leave the studio without a mix.
Okay.
You know? Just because I don't like going back a month later and mixing 18 songs.
Because once again, it's a feeling thing.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You may go back to it and then try to do something or even try to add something else.
Right.
And it sounds totally different because you're just not in the same space.
Right.
Like
Right.
It's weird to explain it.
Right.
But I mean, you know exactly what you're talking about when you try to record something on top of it and you're like, damn, that doesn't even fit.
Right.
I remember for Greatest Weapon, I went back like a year later. And I was like, okay, you know, I hear something I don't like on the bass line. I'm going to try to relay it.
Okay.
And I tried to relay it,
and
it did not work at all.
Yeah, it's real hard.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to keep it because that's what it was.
Right.
That's just what I can't argue with that.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Now, one of the things that we have an interest in, and I think I mentioned this when I was telling you a little bit about kind of why we came into existence, would love to get your view of the current state of radio. And you know, you talked a little bit about in the 80s the diversity that you had back in the day. Would love to hear kind of what you think about the current state of, I'm not going to even just say black radio.
Right.
Just radio in general.
Well, I mean, it's funny that that you mentioned, I'm not even going to say black radio, because I think that's part of the problem is that they've taken the word black out of, you know, out of the music. Like, you know, urban is just such a tricky way to get around saying what we all know is black music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I remember being signed at one time to Hollywood Records to the urban, you know, division. And like the staff at Hollywood Records, some of them were very, you know, like like they would say stuff to my manager like, we don't know how to write an urban bio, so can you get somebody from outside that right? And you know, and I was like, really? Like that's where we are? Or we don't know how to direct an urban video, so you might want to go get your own.
Cy Smith be the best artist I've never seen.
Right.
Urban bio.
I love the way she sang.
But
when we actually acknowledged black music for what it was, and it was called black music or called soul music, that's when our radio stations were the most diverse. That's when you did have Toto on the same station as Stevie Wonder, and nobody thought twice about it.
Right.
You would hear Africa, you know, the same time you would hear, you know, a Patrice Rushen song or
Right.
some obscure Rebe Jackson joint or
Sure.
whatever.
Sure.
And I think the diversity has gotten lost in this false sense of political correctness with regards to, you know, the naming, the nomenclature, you know, what we call, what we do, you know, and I, you know, I think it's also the state of radio has gotten like that because the artists themselves aren't naming. We are not choosing what we're called. Everybody else is doing that.
Sure.
Sadly.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if I say you know, what I do is soul music, nobody else should correct me on that. I'm telling
Right.
you know, I'm telling you what it is. You know.
Okay.
But people at radio aren't letting the artists define themselves. You know what I mean? And so you have this very narrow definition of what's going to fit on that format, and it's sad for the audiences, it's sad for the artists,
Right.
and it's sad for the growth of the craft itself. You know.
No, I mean it's in a dire state. It really is.
Yeah.
And we need to do a lot to get us to where we need to be.
And the assumption that people only want to hear one thing or one type of thing or whatever is really disrespectful to the people. To say, well, they only want to hear, you know, the auto-tune songs, or they only want to hear. That's not true. You know, when people are actually exposed to stuff, you know, you'd be surprised what people want to hear, and we know because we are.
We're products of
that.
That's right. That's right. I feel the same way. I know. That's when I came up. You know, it was a great time being able to listen to all that stuff. Grew up on BLS and Kiss.
Right.
And back in the day, and now they don't. It's only one of them.
It's only one left. Right. Which is a trip. You know, in LA, Stevie Wonder owns KJLH, and which is an oddity in itself. First of all, he's an artist who owns a radio station. He's black and owns a radio station. And it's a major player in the city, you know, in Los Angeles. It's in a major market, you know. But we don't have enough of that, you know. That's just sad. But, you know, the flip side of all that is, I'm talking a lot, I'm stop. The flip side of all of that is the alternatives are blog radio stations, you know, internet radio, satellite radio, and people are really tuning into other places.
Absolutely.
Music, Pandora, Spotify, all of those, SoundCloud, everything. You know, so people will, you know, find options when, you know, if they feel like they're being pushed into a corner. They're gonna find a way out. You know. And I think that's what's happening.
They say necessity is the mother of invention. So you know, that's the way we feel, definitely.
I think terrestrial radio is definitely taking a lesson from that. I know I plug up my phone and turn on Pandora and plug it up to the car. You know, if I don't feel like listening to the mess. NPR. Usually I'm listening to NPR and stuff anyway.
I know. Just for your reference, in Dallas, it's 90.1.
Okay, thank you.
It's 90.1. So tell me a little bit about touring and kind of what your favorite cities are and why. I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
You know, okay, my favorite city so far
Paris.
Has been Paris.
Yep, Paris.
Okay.
Paris has always been one of my favorite cities. I think first time I went over there I was 16.
Okay.
And I just always loved Paris. Yeah, that might be one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me why. I'm glad you said that. I was able to go to Paris for the first time last summer. So I have a little bit of a frame of reference.
Right.
But tell me, tell me a little bit why you think Paris is the place to be from a touring and I guess performing perspective.
First of all, the food was on point. There was red wine everywhere I turned. I guess from a touring performance perspective, the musicians were on point.
Yes. So we have to use pickup musicians in every city. We can't bring our whole band everywhere we go. So we pick up, you know, musicians, and the Paris musicians were off the chain.
Yeah, rehearsed that day.
Yeah.
Went through the set.
Yeah.
Knew everything.
Yeah. Did you guys go to any of the jazz spots? On was it Rudy? Oh man.
We didn't really get a chance to get out like that.
That's one thing about touring is you don't really get
that's like the misconception. folks will be like, "Yo, you gotta go to such." I'm like,
Right.
"Yo, is it by the hotel?" If not,
That's pretty
I'm
much
not
it
going.
for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Paris also,
Yeah.
has historically been one of those places that that has accepted black artists in a way and embraced
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So I think it's no coincidence that
Yeah.
we went over there and fell in love with Paris.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
all over again.
yeah. I got to do my honeymoon a year late in Paris, and we got to listen to. There was a gospel, quote unquote, group that performed, and they weren't true American gospel. They
Right.
were kind of black folks from the diaspora
Right.
that were singing. So it was great, and you could just tell there was a great appreciation for what
Yeah.
they were doing, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't like my folks down in North Carolina,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
was still a great
Right,
experience.
Right. It is nice to
Yeah.
see that kind of appreciation too.
Yeah.
Like even if it's not the best necessarily representation of it, just the appreciation itself is like, oh man,
Right.
that's cool.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. No,
They
absolutely.
study.
Yeah,
They study.
they definitely study.
Yeah, yeah, and there were some on point musicians definitely when we went to the jazz clubs.
That's
They were
dope.
they were definitely on point. So tell me a little bit about what you're gonna do tonight here in Dallas, and what are you what do you have in store for us Dallas and Fort Worth folk?
It's gonna be fun on stage.
Okay, okay,
That's what it is. I'm not gonna let too much out there. Just look for us to have fun
okay.
on stage. And if you're not ready to have fun, then you probably should
Okay.
just stay in the crib.
All right.
We do songs from both of our catalogs. So expect that. But yeah, I won't let any more out the bag either.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to get some tweets out about it.
Yeah.
Hook you guys up a little bit, but that's pretty much it. I wanted to just thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you.
It's been an incredible experience for me.